These are the fifth step promises. We pocket our pride and go to it, illuminating every twist of character, every dark cranny of the past. Once we've taken this step, withholding nothing, we are delighted. We can look the world in the eye. We can be alone and at perfect peace and ease. Our fears fall from us. We begin to feel the nearness of our Creator. We may have had certain spiritual beliefs, but now we begin to have a spiritual experience. The feeling that the drink problem has disappeared will often come strongly. We will feel that we are on the broad highway, walking hand in hand with the spirit of the universe. I don't know about you guys, but when I first got sober, there was kind of this feeling like I'm never going to actually be able to look people in the eye. I remember one time I was walking down the street and I saw somebody coming at me, and I thought, did I say something to them last night at the bar? And I couldn't remember if I had actually said something or done something. Like I couldn't even bear the idea of looking at them in the eye. And so I quickly ducked into a women's lingerie store and then hid while they walked past, and then hopped out and crossed the street as fast as possible, just to avoid the potential of having to come into contact with what I had done in the past. And I can't even tell you how many times I've actually done that. It's one of those things where you're like, I just can't believe that was actually the way that I chose to live. That I actually had those feelings where it would just occur all the time. I would be walking down the street and I would see somebody, or I'd see somebody in a grocery store, and I was constantly having to duck and dive, or worse, you see them in the store and then you're like, oh man, now I got to actually work on this. I got to kind of confront whatever behavior it was that I had done before. And, it just gets exhausting living your life in this way where you're constantly feeling like you're having to hide something, but then you're constantly going, oh man, I really feel like I still want to go and drink and do that more. That's really the insanity that we all kind of struggle with when right before we kind of start to realize that we have a problem. So one of the ways that one can know if they actually have a drinking problem, I think it's something that I get asked a lot. How did you know that you were an alcoholic? And I think the way that I knew that I was an alcoholic is one day I was sitting there and I knew exactly what second my next drink was going to be. I knew to the minute, 5:38, I'm going to have a beer. Unless I hit a stoplight, then it'll be 5:41. Or if I don't hit a stoplight, maybe it's 5:36. And I'm like, you know what? That was a real critical moment for me, because I always knew exactly when my next drink was coming. And one of the things that was really frustrating for me was that I never knew who I was going to see or what that next drink coming. Well, I never knew what problems it was going to cause. I figured it out. At some point in time, I realized that it was about a 20% chance of something going wrong while drinking. So the problem is that if you drink daily, that's 1 out of every 5 days, you're going to wind up doing something that you deeply regret, doing something that, you're going to have to try to figure out how to smooth it over later somehow. And so you're constantly living in this life where you're having to re-pick up the pieces. You're always ruining whatever good relationships you build. You wind up ruining them, and you got to repair them. And then eventually you just get so sick of building and repairing relationships that you only keep around people that whose relationships you don't actually have to fight for. And those will always wind up being the barflies, or the people you're drinking with, the people you party with. And that becomes the world that you live in. And so this concept of being able to walk around and really look someone right in the eye and say, hey, I behaved that way, and that was not at all who I want to be. It's not at all who I feel like God wants me to be. And so, I'm going to live my life in a different way. And I can tell you right now that no matter where I go, no matter what I do, I can always walk around with my head high, knowing that I didn't do anything crazy last night because I was drinking. I'm still a jerk sometimes. It happens. I'm a person, but in those moments, I can sit down in my 10th step at night and I can say, oh, well, here's something that I'm going to try to do better. Here's maybe an apology I'm going to give tomorrow. Here's something I'm going to work on as I move forward here. But I don't ever wake up wondering, what did I do last night? And that's always one of those big, just terrifying experiences. So if you're experiencing that particular fear of looking people in the eye, or if you're experiencing that, like, oh man, like, yeah, I really don't know what I did last night. Or if you know exactly when your next drink is, those are really good signs that your alcohol consumption might be getting out of hand. And of course, if you've overcome it and you really know the joy of walking down the street and knowing, man, I'm good. And if I see somebody, I've got it inside of me to address whatever my behavior was to that person later. And really, that's the kind of confidence that I think we all want to have. I know it's certainly the confidence I wanted to have. And, the time came when I did see that person. I did not duck into the lingerie store. I actually sat down and I said, hey, those things I said to you, that way I behaved, I just want to let you know that's really not who I want to be. And I just want to let you know that I'm an alcoholic. I'm in the program, and I'm working on it. And I think there's a real joy in admitting that you're an alcoholic. And certainly, I've never had anyone come to me and shame me for being an alcoholic at this point in time. Maybe there was a time in the past when that happened, but nowadays, when you go around and you tell somebody that you're an alcoholic, I mean, people just kind of look at it and they go, "Wow, like, good for you. I'm so happy that you've made that decision to step into recovery," and they're happy for you, and they're genuinely happy for you, whether it's for your kids or whether it's for, your spouse or to keep your job or what. I mean, they only know that good things come out of people in recovery. Now, one of the funnier parts about jumping into recovery, that I've found is just that people can kind of tend to treat you a little bit funny in the beginning. So they're not really sure how do I deal with sober Drew? Every time I see him, he's always had at least 2 or 3 drinks. And so people kind of tend to not walk on eggshells, but they don't really know how to approach you. So we can talk about that some more at another time. But, today, just take a look at some signs. Like if you think you might be struggling with alcoholism, maybe it's a good time to really think about whether or not you have the joy of walking down the street looking people in the eye. And so I hope you have a great day. I hope that your sobriety's treating you well, and we will see you again real soon. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. That would be a huge importance, especially if you want to try to get sober and stay sober. Having this kind of stuff show up in your YouTube news feed is a big value. Anyways, much love, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye now.